How much money do you need to retire in Canada? New research has found a new magic retirement savings number. I say magic because if you put 10 people in a room, you'll get 10 different answers. The survey found the new magic number to be $1.46 million. That's up 15% from last year's $1.27 million number, and is also an eye-popping 53% higher than the 2020 estimate. Inflation is out of control, wouldn't you say? Thanks, Trudeau. The first question you'll need to ask yourself when considering retirement is, do I want to be living or just alive? The amount of money you save will, of course, determine that. If you start with the end goal in mind and work backwards to the age you want to retire, this will give you a good starting point for calculations. But don't forget to factor in inflation, taxes, and management fees on your investments. That number may surprise you. RSPs, for example, only defer tax. So you're going to have to pay the government for the privilege of investing your own money. As for calculating the numbers, there are a couple rules of thumb. Put the video on pause and quickly grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to write a few things down, as I also want to be sharing a strategy that a handful of Canadians in the know have been using for decades, which can provide a tax-advantaged income stream as long as you live. Let's first take a look at the safe withdrawal rate, which is typically 4%. This is the rate where you can withdraw 4% each year and not run out of money, so you can live like you're living today to your life expectancy. If you need to save $1.46 million for your retirement, according to the new survey, and your money earns an annual interest rate of 5%, you might think you're set. But here's the twist. If inflation is also at 5%, which it is now, and has even been higher of late, your money isn't going to grow at all because it's barely keeping pace with inflation. Using the safe withdrawal rate of 4%, you can withdraw $58,400 per year. However, because of inflation, each year the purchasing power of that $58,400 decreases. To ensure your savings last, we need to account for this inflation. How long will $1.46 million last if you withdraw $58,400 annually with 5% inflation? Approximately 25 years. After 25 years, your nest egg would be gone. Now comes the not so good news. When most Canadians withdraw $58,400 annually from their RSP nest egg, they will have to pay the government using the current marginal tax rate of approximately 28.3%. Depending on which province you're in. That means almost 30% of your money will go to be paying income tax. Have you ever thought about that before? Then there's the management fees to manage your RSP investments. Did you think about that too? And the 4% rule also assumes you don't have a mortgage, credit card debt, vehicle loans, and you've made all of your major purchases heading into retirement. Essentially, a 4% withdrawal rate assumes your investment portfolio is not highly conservative, meaning you don't have your money in your bank savings account or GICs. The 4% rule assumes you have your money invested in a good portion of stocks and equities. What happens if there's a stock market crash? Like there is every 10 to 20 years. I'm not just saying that, that's a historical fact. This means there will be a stock market crash during your retirement. Count on it. Okay, we've established that your safe withdrawal rate is 4%. Now, the big concern for retirement will be, who is managing your money? In most cases, this will be the big banks because 80% of Canadians get their financial advice and investments from the big 5 banks. Let's talk about that a little. Banks assert that they have your best interests in mind when offering investment products for the reasons that are deeply rooted in the regulatory obligations and ethical standards. Regulatory bodies, like the SEC, enforce fiduciary duties that require banks to prioritize client welfare, ensuring recommendations align with your goals and risk tolerance. However, in my experience, bank advice is like a moving target. In fact, every time you visit the bank, aren't you getting your advice from someone different? And the actual advice is always changing. One year it's stocks, the next it's bonds, the next it's mutual funds, all of which they charge a hefty management fee for. And all of it will be taxed when you take it out. They seem to change their advice every time the market shifts. They offer what works for them. Plain and simple. In fact, the 5 big banks earned a combined profit of around $60 billion in 2022. Does that sound like they're helping you? Ask yourself this. Did your investments make you any money? Scotiabank's answer is always, you're richer than you think. No, it seems to me that banks are richer, not you. I like Warren Buffett's rule when it comes to investing. Don't lose clients' money, period. His second rule is, refer to rule number 1. The fact is, you have a choice as to where you put your money. You want to be like the 80% who get their advice from banks, or like the 20% who invest wisely. I've got one piece of financial advice that, considering everything we've talked about, will shake you to your core. And here it is. Permanent, tax advantage, dividend-paying life insurance. Where smart people invest and used to invest before the banks learned they could make way more money selling you investment products. Sure, it sounds kooky, but that's because you don't know how it works. It's officially called the infinite banking concept. The concept of infinite banking revolves around utilizing a specially designed whole life insurance policy as a financial tool where policyholders can build cash value over time, which they can borrow against for various financial needs instead of borrowing from traditional lenders. This strategy allows you to maintain control over your money, earn a competitive rate of return on the cash value, and hugely benefit from its lengthy tax advantages. The goal is to create a perpetual cycle of borrowing and repayment within the policy, aiming to grow wealth and enhance financial flexibility over the long term. Did you know that on average, insurance companies paid out a 7% annual dividend to their policyholders? So, you have a choice to make. Status quo or find out more. Visit McGuireFinancial.ca because it's your money. While you're here, take a moment and click the thumbs up button. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to keep you posted.